We're glad to have you back. We've got Dwayne DeLotte back online with us. Dwayne, you there?
Hey, George. I thought that was a great interview with John Hofmeister. One thing that occurred to me just thinking about that interview was, the United States just doesn't do coherent energy policy. So, right, when you think about uranium and nuclear energy back in 1979, we had a small nuclear, and I know it sounded 3 Mile Island sounded like the end of the world, but the truth of the matter was it was a small accident. Nobody got hurt. We shut down nuclear plants in this country for over 30 years now. Sometimes when we do these knee-jerk reactions that are based on something from the news media or just a feeling, we make long-term big mistakes.
Yeah, there's no question. You know what I was thinking on the break? We had Roger Campos on here from the Minority Business Roundtable. On Friday, we had Congressman Kevin Brady on here talking about the Maximizing America Prosperity Act. And then today we had John Hofmeister. And through all three interviews, there was a general theme. And the theme was Washington's broken. Politics and big government is taking precedence over what's good for the people. And as John was talking, it was a different message focused on energy, whereas the other ones had their separate focuses, SBA and on reining in government spending, putting curbs on government spending. But it was very interesting that that's happening. And what I'm hoping that the wave, the sound, the volume coming from the American people will get so loud by leaders like John Hofmeister or Congressman Kevin Brady or Roger Campos or many other Americans who are talking about these things, and it gets loud enough, because what's interesting is all of them say the same thing. If we don't rein this in, if we don't gain control, if we don't stop it, the end result is destructive. The end result puts at jeopardy this great republic, this great nation that we live in. And that's, you can spend, but when you're spending more than your GDP, which is where we will be in a decade from now, when you're spending in excess, and even with the low interest rates we have now, have a difficult time collecting enough tax just to pay your interest, it's going to come to an end. And that's a very interesting theme. The other thing that I like about what John was talking about was how instant you could quickly put money into the system. And, John was talking about private money. He wasn't talking about going to the American people and borrowing $550 million for a solar project. He was talking about private companies investing money, taking risk with investors and shareholder money to build infrastructure, to drill. And I like that, right? A lot of times you hear people talk about big things, and I've talked about it. I really think the smart grid needs to be done. I don't think the smart grid's going to be done with private money. It's going to have to be something more than just private money. It's going to have government involvement, what have you. But the bottom line is John's talking about all private money, and I like that because it's very quick. He was talking about 10 years or less. I think you would see the results of that very quickly. We know that you'd see the results of there are coal things going on around the country right now that you could see very quickly. There's oil, and you see very quickly. We saw South Dakota increase their oil production 42% year over year. So there are very quickly things that can be done.
Let me say this, and I think that there was one thing that really stuck out to me, and I agree with what you're saying. One thing that really stuck out to me was his talk about getting out of any kind of dependence that we have on OPEC. For 30-plus years now, almost all my life, we have been beholden to OPEC, and that makes that part of the world incredibly important. And you know what? There's a saying over there in Saudi Arabia that my grandfather rode a camel, I ride a Mercedes, and this is amongst the princes and the big shots, and my grandson will ride a camel, because they know that they only have a certain amount of oil.